How you doing, everyone? Welcome to another episode of Coffee with Colin. I'm your host, Colin Egglesfield. And every week, as you know, I have amazing guests to talk about something that is unique and inspiring to them and something that has something to do with their personal journey in life. And I think one of the best things that I've been able to experience and benefit from on my journey becoming a professional actor and now doing all of this really cool stuff on the internet is that I've learned a lot of amazing things from people who have been my acting teachers and my some of my personal professional development life coaches. And that's why I love to do this show, because I get to talk to some people who have some incredible wisdom and insight to share with everyone out there. And I just want to say thank you to everyone who continually tunes in every week to listen to my guests and myself. And if you are someone who wants to be reminded every week of when my episodes are coming on, be sure to hit the subscribe button to Coffee with Colin and hit the notification button so you are tuned in and notified every time I go live, because I love to do this show live because anything can happen live, right? And what I also like to do is support people in fulfilling on their dreams and their goals, and helping them become more impactful and confident with their communication. And tonight's guest, I met her through the Speakers Playhouse, and I had one of the creators of the Speakers Playhouse on there, Kimberly. And I've had Kimberly on Coffee with Colin. She talks about the Speakers Playhouse and how it supports people in fulfilling on their speaking career. And through this network, and I would highly encourage you to check out the Speakers Playhouse, you meet a lot of really interesting, cool people. And one of the people that I met through to the Speakers Playhouse was tonight's guest. And she actually took my Beyond Impact Mastery communications class, which is my 4-week communications class in becoming more confident and more succinct with creating your messaging and connecting to your purpose with regards to who you are in this world and how it relates to the message that you want to put out there into your community and into the world to make it a better place. Because why not make this place a better place? Because the world needs it, right? And a lot of the times we become intimidated or we're afraid to go out there and share our message because sometimes we feel like, who's going to give a crap about what we have to say? But intuitively inside, we know that we have a lot of knowledge and insight to share with the world. You may find yourself talking to people and just sharing some of your insight and your wisdom. And I think some of us have this deep desire to share what we've learned with the world because we know it can benefit the world and make it a better place. And you know, I've benefited from so many amazing, insightful people in my life. And what I love to do is support people in fulfilling on their vision and their dream and their goal of going out there into the world and doing what they want to do. And one of the things that I am the best in the world at, I can confidently say that, is that I can see what is unique and special about someone and help shine a light on that and help you amplify it and get your message out into the world. Because again, there's so much negativity out there and there's so much confusion. There's so many things that are happening and changing and shifting so quickly that sometimes we can tend to feel disconnected and we can tend to lose what it means to have authentic and meaningful connections with other human beings. And what I love to do with this show is just slow down for 45 minutes to an hour and have an impactful and authentic conversation with my guests. And so again, thank you for joining me for this hour of just slowing down, pausing, reconnecting. And my goal is to have you learn something new that you may have not known about, or something that can impact you and help you with whatever it is that you're dealing with. And tonight's guest is someone who I find incredibly inspiring. She's just an absolute amazing woman. And from just knowing her over the past couple of months and getting to know her through my class, she's just one of the kindest, nicest people you could ever possibly meet. And she's written a book. As I mentioned, she's got a son with autism. And the name of her book is called You Just Have to Love Me. And I'm curious we talked a little bit about her book and why she titled the book that very title. And it's very unique to just hear from someone who is raising a special needs child. And I myself, in college, I worked in a group home with some special needs kids. And everyone is unique, and it doesn't matter, whatever, we're all dealing with something, right? No matter what we are dealing with inside, deep down, we are all human beings with special gifts. And I want to hear from my guest tonight about what she's learned from raising a son with autism, and what was her impetus for writing the book, and how it can benefit people, not just parents who are raising kids with special needs, but I think we can all learn something from people who are just overcoming resiliency and challenges, and apply those to other just aspects of anyone's life. And so I'm curious to talk to her about that. But I'm just going to read her brief bio here so you guys get an idea of who she is. So my guest tonight, her name is Heidi Rome, and she's a speaker, author, facilitator, advocate, mentor, perspective reframer, solace bringer, and mother of 2 sons, one with severe autism. She's the author of You Just Have to Love Me, and the creator of the Win-When Skillsets. And she understands how to overcome feelings of overwhelm through loving kindness toward oneself and others. And who couldn't use some more loving kindness in their lives? She's also the founder of Mom's Spectrum Oasis. Heidi builds awareness of the humanhood issues around what true inclusion, self-expression, and belonging actually signify. Hint, it's never about fixing someone or something, and it's about asking about what it means when we say it's time to change the narrative around severe autism. And that is her platform. And would love to just invite to the stage now Miss Heidi Rome. So ladies and gentlemen, please put your hands together for Miss Heidi Rome. I know we can't see you out there, but we can energetically feel your claps.
Thank you.
How you doing, Heidi?
I'm doing great, Colin. Thank you so much for that beautiful, glorious welcome.
You're welcome. I'm so excited that you're here. It's been about what, 4 to 6 weeks since we've seen each other last.
Yes. Yeah.
And here you are. So welcome.
Oh, thank you. I'm delighted to be here.
Awesome. Well, I appreciate you taking the time, and would love to just have you give maybe a little brief background about who you are, and what is it that you're currently doing to share the amazing positivity with your book.
Well, thank you so much. Well, as you so beautifully put it, you did let everyone know that my focus now is on speaking, because that is where I'm recognizing the potential is to spread the word, my message that I'd like to bring to the world. And as you said, I do have a son. My younger son, Ethan, has severe non-speaking autism. And that's been a tough journey. And as you can imagine, and I spent decades trying to fix my broken child, or so I thought, to no avail. And it was this journey with Ethan that really opened my eyes to what is a parent's role, a friend's role, a guide's role on this planet when we want to be of in service to someone. And the learning with Ethan, I mean, just in a nutshell, when he was 5 years old, I was told by this big doctor in New York that he had the mental capacity of a 5-month-old baby, which was absolutely devastating. Hadn't seen that coming, and it changed everything. I felt very shattered in the face of that. And as I said, I was attempting to fix my broken kid, dragging him to all kinds of therapies. The good news was that we found some alternative communication techniques that were developed for people who have either no or unreliable language, and through certain ways of typing. And through this technique, Ethan suddenly at the age of 9 started displaying this incredible intellect. And it was at that point that he expressed his experience of his own autism as a spiritual journey.
Wow.
Knocked my socks off, and hence the title of the book, because when I said to him, what can we do to help you on this journey after all these years of fixing? His typed response to me was, you just have to love me. And that is your job. The rest is my job to do.
That's amazing. That is incredible. That is incredible. Yeah.
So it totally flipped me around. It was an absolute moment of epiphany, of transformation. And I remember my whole body responding with relief and taking this deep breath, and the wave that just flowed through me is like, oh, I can do that. Love you. I can't fix you. I can't change you, but love you. Yeah. Easy. So that just set me straight, gave me an attitude adjustment. And then from there, I developed all the other thinking that went on around that redirection, because now what? Now what, if love is the North Star now, well, then what does that mean? So that was where all the thinking and consulting and speaking with different people to identify what are practical steps to take when in fact that is your new strategy.
Mm-hmm. And so when you first started noticing signs with Ethan when he was younger, was it early on in his infancy that you noticed that maybe there was something that you needed to investigate and look at? What did that look like?
Well, he was the second child. So, just flashing back a moment, I was a late single, late mom, late everything. And I had been focused on my career and had my MBA, was a marketing director, and it's all about the career, but I really wanted my own family. And then, under the wire made that happen. Okay, let's have kids quick.
You be asking how old you were when you started having kids?
I was 1 month shy of 45.
Okay.
Yeah. And then Ethan, 2.5 years later, do the math. So talk about whoosh, under the biological clock was not even a clock anymore. It was the gong. But
you did it.
I did it. I did it under the wire. So, we had Eric and we were just so delighted. And then, Eric needs a sibling. And we had Ethan and beautiful baby. And we did notice, not a lot of eye contact. And you're like, babies, what are they looking at anyway? But, we had the first baby, Eric, who was very engaged and in your face and hey. So here's Ethan, who was not doing that. And then with him, we also noticed that he was silent. There was none of that babbling that very, very little babies do, playing with language, mum, 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 but none of that. And there were physical delays. He wasn't sitting up unsupported. Said, no problem. We'll get him some physical therapy. We'll make this go away.
Sure.
And so we did the physical therapy. That did help. We're like, great. But he wasn't speaking.
Mm-hmm.
And he had some unusual behaviors, flapping his hands and just doing other behaviors that are associated with autism. We brought him to the pediatric neurologist. She did whatever testing she did. And he was about 18 months when she gave us the diagnosis of autism, which was a dark day. And from then it was very much behind the 8 ball. How am I going to fix this? How am I going to make this go away? How am I going to deal with this? And then that story I told you when he was 5, it just lit more fire under me of, okay, quick, find the guru on the mountaintop in Nepal somewhere who must have the answer.
Yeah.
It's type A here. There's an answer and I will find it. And I will make this go away. And so like so many parents, I was very much in, I'm going to fix this. And I also had the secret not so secret belief that I was not a good mother if I did not succeed in dealing with this.
Hmm. What advice or insight could you share with parents out there who may have received a recent diagnosis of their kids with autism? What would you share that could help them start to really pave the path for how to move forward?
I would say take a deep breath and relax. And this is not a death sentence. It's a hard thing. Don't listen to the fortune tellers. No one knows what's going to unfold for your child. And whatever path it is, you'll be okay. I believe that this was an arrangement from our souls getting together before we arrived here, agreeing, we're going to do this. We're going to figure this out together. We're going to walk this path and really find out what we're made of.
Mhm.
So you can handle it, whatever it is. Your child is blessed to have you as their parent, and you'll handle this, whatever shows up. And it's hard to hear this. I wasn't ready to hear it early. There
Mhm.
is a gift in this, gift in dirty wrapping, but there is a gift that over time you will uncover, and it will guide your life and enrich your life.
It's a beautiful way of looking at it. And you mentioned when he was it 9 years old, where this typing where he was able to, was it just a regular computer, or
Yeah,
what was
well,
this device?
in the beginning, it wasn't even a keyboard. In the beginning, it's just a piece of paper with the alphabet
Okay.
and pointing to with support with this certain technique, spelling out what he wanted to say.
Okay.
And with someone who's trained to do this. Now, yes, absolutely, people, you can use the iPad, and there are devices that are dedicated to the typing. So, we knew he knew the keyboard when he had started at a new school. The first
Mhm.
school ended up not being, it was all focused on behavior and trying to make him look normal, whatever that is, really ignoring the symptoms of the autism. And we, that did not play out well over time. We changed schools. And at this new school that was focused on what are his abilities, what is he good at, their motto is presume competence, which we loved. And that was the school that offered these alternative communication techniques, including this typing. And this was the introduction that Ethan had to this technique. And it was the first time we ever witnessed Ethan do anything that would express what he was thinking and feeling. The first school had told me that he's not thinking or feeling anything.
Really?
Yeah. They actually said that to me. Oh, and if he is, it doesn't matter.
That's crazy.
Imagine a
Yeah.
school saying this. So when we changed to the new school, though, remember, I had taken him to that doctor who I now, I'll be mean. She was a fortune teller, oh, when he was 5, he has the mental capacity of a 5-month-old.
Hmm.
Based on how he was doing on these tests, I knew when they brought out the plastic birthday cake and wanted him to blow out the fake candles with the fake fire, and he got upset because he wanted the real thing, and he did not do well on that test. I thought, oh, this is not going well.
That was part of the test. They bring out a fake birthday cake and say,
Yes.
what do they instruct him to do?
Blow out the candles. And here's a child, one of the signs of autism is that they're very literal.
Right.
Figurative language
Mhm.
is not their strong suit, although It's not non-existent, but it's not their strong suit, especially at the age of 5.
Mhm.
And he got upset because he loves his cake and this was not it. And yeah, so when he started at this new school, I had that horrible movie playing in my mind of, 5 years old, mental capacity, 5-month old. He doesn't understand. He doesn't feel. He doesn't care. Da da da. And that was the horrible narrative I had going on in my mind. And then I knew that he knew the keyboard because he was taught the keyboard just to copy lists of things,
Mhm.
which is a different part of the brain to copy something than to express creatively.
Mhm.
So when he started at the school, this is a great story, Colin. His very first week there, after a week, the teacher called me. Now, your audience who has kids with challenges, they know you don't want to be receiving phone calls from school because, what's wrong? What happened? Did he bite someone? Like, what happened? So you really, I was scared. Like, why are you calling me? And she's like, oh, no, I just wanted to tell you about an exchange I had with Ethan. It's like, an exchange? Like, what? He doesn't exchange. Like, he has the mental capacity of a 5. So I said, what do you mean? She said, well, I said to him, Ethan, you've been here for a week now at this new school, and I'd love to know, how do you like it here? How do you feel? Can you give me 3 words? How do you feel here? And she told me later, she
Mhm.
only asked for 3 because she didn't want to overwhelm him. And, she didn't want him to feel like it was a demand, pressure being put on him. So she tried to keep it really simple. And she thought this is an easy question because the new school was so different from the old. The old one was tiny and quiet and beige. And the new one was big and loud and colorful. And she thought, okay, easy question. Well, the reason she was calling me was that the 3 words that Ethan typed were basking in joy.
Wow.
Like,
Wow.
what? Who talks like that?
And this is, how old was he again?
9?
9.
9.
Amazing.
And I'm like, is
Yeah.
this for real? Like, what's going on here? And there
Mhm.
was a long period of suspicion, like, I don't believe this. Could it be? Like the delight and the shock and the disbelief, the cognitive dissonance of you believe one thing and then the evidence of something else. And it's like, what?
Yeah.
What's going on? And he continued, though, to type these incredible things. And just to give you another example, which I think is very timely for today's world, I went in to type with him this one day, work on the communication. And when you're typing for communication, a lot of it is practice, like playing scales of music. The kids are not wired for communication. They're wired differently. The brain and the mouth, it's a motor planning issue. It's very difficult. Ethan gets exhausted from trying to communicate. So you're practicing very everyday, mundane ideas. So I go into work with him this one day, and she said, well, what does he like to do every day? Well, keep it simple, type about something very familiar. What does
Mhm.
he like to do in the evening after school? I said, well, that's easy. He likes to watch the news. Now, I say this was 9 years ago. Now no one wants to watch the news. I don't want to watch the news.
Yeah.
These guys actually do still watch the news.
How
Uh,
old is Ethan currently?
he's 18 now.
18.
So
Okay.
this was 9 years ago when this conversation took place. So the teacher says to him, Mom says you like to watch the news, Ethan. That's really interesting. Why do you like to watch the news? And he typed, I'm interested in global things. Okay. Remember, mental capacity 5, like what? Global things. And the word, the vocabulary, right? Beyond. So
Yeah.
the teacher says, that's really interesting. Why are you interested in global things? And he types, I'm interested in conflict. So, Mr. Erotic, I'm thinking, I don't say it out loud, but I'm thinking, why is he interested in conflict? Is he a criminal? What's this about? Oh no. Now, I should tell you, Colin, full disclosure, that Ethan will not type with me.
Right.
We actually have a video of this where I'm saying to him, oh, Ethan, come on, I want to type with you. So let's practice. I want to type with you. And here's a guy, very little spoken language. He has some, but it's mostly food. And he doesn't really speak. But this, he was the stinker, crystal clear. No, no, mommy, no. I said, come on, I really want to type with you. No, why not? I'll give you the iPad. I'll give you Oreo cookies, like the big guns. No, why not? Why won't you type with me? So he types with the teacher.
Mm-hmm.
You're too tense.
Whoa.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Mind reader, by the way, that's another skill they have for another day. But
Wow.
so, and we all started laughing. I was like, you're right. I am too tense. Yes, I get it, but it's okay. It's okay. But the teacher, calm as a cucumber, which is why he types with her, and says, that's really interesting that you're interested in conflict. Why are you interested in conflict? Ethan types, I have ideas for peace.
Wow.
Yeah. She said, really? That's wonderful. Can you give us an example?
Mm-hmm.
And Ethan typed, let people make their own decisions. Don't make them fight if they want peace. And I remember hearing this, and what went through every fiber of my being was, that's Ethan. Those are his words. All the doubt of all the, oh my God, 5-month-old, how can this be true?
Yeah.
So that didn't come from her. That didn't come from me. That came from him. So actually, fast forward, Colin, you asked how old he is.
Yeah.
He's 18. 9 years later, he's still interested in the news. He's still interested in listening and watching. And one of the things he typed more recently was, why is there so much war in the world? I want to understand. We have to help the people who are striving for peace. So I said, I know, buddy. Well, do you, and I remembered the 9 years ago conversation. And I asked him the same question. Do you have any ideas for peace? This time, though, his answer was different. And he typed, I don't. But we can pray for peace.
Wow.
Yeah. And I was like, you're right. We can do that. You have to do that.
Yeah.
So this is, I believe, Colin, these guys, Ethan has typed, I've been underestimated my whole life. Because these guys, people think because you can't speak, you're not thinking. You have nothing to say. Nothing could be further from the truth.
Yeah.
So it's really important for people to be aware. Don't judge a book by its cover.
Mm-hmm.
What you see on the surface is not a reflection of the depth within.
Mm-hmm.
And this is super important. And now, as I move looking ahead, Ethan can stay at this school where he is now, this residential school for students with severe autism. He can only stay through the year in which he turns 21.
Mm-hmm.
He ages out. And that's known in the special needs community as falling off a cliff, because you lose the entitlements of education and that children have.
Mm-hmm.
And you become an adult, and life is very different, and there is no entitlement, and it's a different world. So I and a team of parents are working together now to create that intentional community that acknowledges this vulnerable population that does require very high support for everyday life
Mhm.
and has high gifts, and to give them the same opportunity for meaningful vocational work, for purpose, for calling, like any other young person has. They deserve the same opportunity for self-expression and growth and the fulfillment of their potential.
And when you talk about these entitlements, you currently live in what state?
In New Jersey.
New Jersey. So is it a state by state thing where there's a certain amount of programs and funding for parents and kids with special needs? Is that how it works on a state by state basis?
Yes and no. The money is federal money.
Okay.
However, each state determines how it will be allocated.
Okay.
So there are federal guidelines that actually have softened and are broad and can cover quite a lot of good things, but the states tend to be very strict. It depends on the state. New Jersey is very strict in its interpretation of allocating this money. And Massachusetts, which is the state that Ethan is in now and is where the parent group is, as we create the community that most likely will be in Massachusetts, Massachusetts is among the most strict. I don't know why.
Hmm.
Lighten up, guys. um, but they make it much harder to access your budget that you're entitled to as a special needs person. There are certain testing criteria that determine the higher the need, the higher the budget.
Mhm.
And once your budget is determined, though, each state is also the gatekeeper of how much you can access. And so that is the struggle. They are, for the most part, mandate a group home setting,
Okay.
which is not the right fit for people with severe autism. It actually sounds inclusive, but it does not meet their needs and is actually quite toxic for this population.
Really?
So, yeah, yeah. And it
Because
also limits how much money you can pay people doing this very difficult job and forcing them to accept minimum wage. And it's like, really? What kind of, if you can't give people a living wage, that handicaps you in terms of who you can hire and how many hours you get. So there are a lot of issues that have to be dealt with to accommodate the reality that autism is spreading. It used to be 1 in 100,000 and then 1 in 10,000. Now, depending on the population, including New Jersey or Massachusetts, among the highest in the country, in some settings, it's 1 in 34.
wow. Does anyone know what is maybe a possible reason for this? I mean,
There are a lot of theories. The thinking is that there is a genetic predisposition, but that there are environmental factors that are turning on that gene, that vulnerability,
okay.
including toxins in the environment, uh, different elements, different assaults to the body that might be making someone who's susceptible to it actually manifesting the symptoms of the autism.
Okay. And when with regards to the funding for these programs, does it go to these group homes or is it directly to the parents of kids who have the parents of the to the kids to the parents of who have kids with autism? Is it going directly to the parents then, or is it the group homes?
What's happened is that like 30 years ago, they shut down, rightfully so, what were called institutions because of the abuses going on in these large buildings that had insufficient staff, untrained staff, nightmare going on. And so they shut down those places, rightfully so. However, it was throwing the baby out with the bathwater because the problem was not that it was a big building. The problem was that it was insufficient, did not meet the needs for all the people who needed the support. It was just completely inadequate and unsupervised. So when they shut those down, though, they did not replace them with anything that was more appropriate. And instead, what they said is, okay, can't be an institution. Well, the pendulum will swing in the other direction. Instead of it being 100 people, no more than 4. And that's when group homes opened up. And so the budgeting now, for the most part, except for the grandfathered larger places that have had to jump through hoops to prove they're not institutions, but they've had to shut down different parts of themselves. So those are a little bit larger and have more people, like 20, 40 people. But for the most part, the money, the funding, everything is all around group homes. And so the Department of, Developmental Disability, or whatever it's called in each state, will only, for the most part, create group homes because, well, that's all that is permitted, or that they say is permitted. The federal law actually is open to more creative solutions, but certain states, like Massachusetts, are choosing to maintain that rigid structure that's limiting how many people can be supported, because there are insufficient even group homes for everybody. So there are like 10,000 people who are sent home to their aging parents after they age out. If there's nowhere for them to go, and if there's no placement, they go back to parents who were in their 80s and 90s. How long is that going to go until it becomes an emergency? Yeah. So it's not a sustainable system. The model that you're referring to is called self-directed, so that the budget, if the government says, okay, you're entitled to this budget, we identified you have this need, here's the budget you get, and we're going to tell you where you can spend it. We'll let you spend this on staffing, this on housing, this on the entertainment, this on the daily support services, and how much, you can't pay them too much, and this is how many hours, and you can go to that provider, you can't go to the other provider, and they're not enough, including the group homes. So it's like having a budget, at least certainly in New Jersey and Massachusetts, it's like going shopping in a supermarket that has empty shelves. Like, you're telling me I have this money, but I can't spend it on anything. So it's a tough situation. Other states are creating all kinds of creative models, initiatives, all sorts of places that I and my parent team, we're visiting places throughout the country. I just got back from Texas, looking at different models around the country, speaking with parents who have been doing this and trying to identify, how do we pull together a model that is best practices, and that we can then go to the state and say, look, guys, this is a solution. It's a win-win. You want to meet these needs. You're not the bad guys here. You're as overwhelmed as we are. Let's work together to create more solutions and more capacity to handle this piece of the population that just keeps growing.
What would you say would be, like, if you could wave a magic wand, and if you were president of the United States, or whatever health organization that's in charge of creating real change, and you were able to get the funding that you needed, what would you do? And the thing is, it seems like, until people actually are affected by it themselves, I tend to see in the United States that it's like, well, it doesn't affect me, so I don't want to have to pay for it, and I don't want to have to be responsible for it. That's someone else's problem. But then until it becomes your problem, then it's like, well, I can't do this on my own. I need help. And I think there's this divide in this country of, there's the every man for himself. And I do love the entrepreneurial spirit of the American culture. But at the same time, not everyone has the ability to be the best and to strive and to work as hard as they possibly can to make as much money to be able to take care of their family if anything happens, because most people are one paycheck away from or living paycheck to paycheck and one illness away from bankruptcy. And so it seems like there's got to be something that needs to be done. If nothing happens, because I actually worked in a group home when I was in college. I went to the University of Iowa, and I did a summer camp with kids with disabilities, and I learned about these group homes. And I actually worked at one of these group homes with 5 kids, 3 with autism, 2 with Down syndrome. And in the morning, they would have a schedule of us college kids where we would come in the morning, help get the kids up in the morning, get them breakfast, get their meds, get them off to school. There was a nun who actually lived full-time at the house. And then there would be 2 of us that would come in the morning and then get them ready to go off to school. And then we would show up back around like 2 p.m., 3 p.m. and be there when they arrived back from school. We would help them with their homework. We would play basketball with them or take them to the park. And one of the kids who had autism, he was 14, 15 years old. And part of the curriculum for what we were taught to do, or part of the program, was teaching them how to count money and go to the grocery store with a grocery list and go to the grocery store. So I would take Justin to the grocery store and be like, all right, Justin. And he was nonverbal as well. But he was able to identify bananas and apples and count the money and then that sort of thing. Right. And the kids' parents would come and visit them occasionally. And I just remember one time when Justin's parents were supposed to come pick him up for the weekend and take him back home. And for whatever reason, they weren't able to come. And he just, unfortunately, he just destroyed his bedroom. We just heard all this like crashing noise and went into his bedroom, and just having to sit down with him and just give him that space and let him just, and it was frustrating because he was not verbal. So I struggled with trying to understand or figure out how to connect with him. But the way that we would connect is we would go outside and physically play basketball or kick the soccer ball and just let him get his aggression out that way. So, I feel like everyone has their way of expressing themselves or expressing their frustration and their whatever it is that they need to express. So I did notice that I was not necessarily the most qualified person to be doing this. What would you say is the need? And if we don't provide more funding, or if we don't address this situation, what are the effects down the road of if we do nothing?
Oh, we don't even want to go there. I mean, it's already a disaster. It's already a human disaster. And what's so ironic is that we're spending so much money now. This is not even about spending new money. Let's just be more effective and efficient and targeted with the money that we're currently spending, and spend it in ways that address the problem instead of our pouring money into a black hole that is not addressing.
So currently, how is it being spent, and how would you shift it to a new model?
Well, money is being spent often in reactive mode, in paying out lawsuits for when someone is killed in a situation that's not appropriate. And that is like a lump of, I don't know, there was a case where death in a group home and the payout was, $50 million. Like it's easy math to realize that why even deal with that kind of a horrible situation when take the money and put it into something that will be effective,
which would be,
well, certainly in a model, and that's what we're creating now, is a model that holds more than 4 people, that can hold community. And here we're talking, and you touched on it just now with your story, Colin, teams of people helping teams of people, friend groups helping friend groups. And then it relieves the pressure on any given individual because there's always a team. So it's not independence, which I know is the holy grail, as much as interdependence. So you don't want dependence, but independence is a false narrative because nobody functions alone in this world
Right.
without help from lots of other people. So it is about groups being interdependent with other groups. Another point where money can be spent in the most effective way, again, your example, this boy who was so frustrated and trashed his room, he was frustrated. Can you imagine, with all the thoughts and feelings, and here he was told his parents are not coming, his family's not coming. He was so disappointed.
Mm-hmm.
He could not express that
Right.
in any other way. That's one of the things I teach on when I'm speaking, is that behavior is communication. And this is true for all living things. It's not just people who don't speak, but especially for people who don't speak.
Mm-hmm.
You have no other way of expressing a need. Behavior reflects a need, an unmet need. So if there was no unmet need, there would be no behavior. Every behavior is a reflection of that.
Mm-hmm.
So, Helen Keller is a famous example of this. People don't know this. When she was on the verge of learning how to communicate with Anne Sullivan, and those of us who read about Helen Keller and growing up in school, or watched the movie about her, or more than one movie about her, and when she was learning that there's a way to communicate, when she was on the brink of it, when she now understood, you mean there's a way to communicate, and I don't know how to do it yet, but you mean silence and not being in my own world? You mean there might be a way to actually share something about what's going on in me with whoever is out there? And it was in that period of time, and she's written about this herself, she would have massive meltdowns. She would break things. She would be lashing out, hitting at anybody near her because of the incredible frustration and grief and who knows what else, anger, rage, going on inside this person who can't communicate. This is what's going on. It is epidemic. Ethan is one of the blessed ones, but most people who do not speak do not have the opportunity to express themselves through the typing for a number of reasons. And the fact is, this is not a therapy. No, we don't have to get into the back and forth. It's not a therapy. It's a choice of a way to communicate. And it should be open as a choice to anyone who wants to be able to do it. If communication, by the way, the UN has said, communication is a human right. And there are all these people who do not have this human right to express what's inside of them. So there's money that could be spent there to offer this typing as a way for people to communicate, the non-speakers to communicate.
This device, is it a specific?
No, it's an iPad.
Okay.
As simple as typing. It needs someone who's trained. There are ways to guide people, because it's not laryngitis. It's not just so I can't speak. These are people who need, it's called a psychomotor disability, autism, where the brain and the body are not hooked up, and the brain often is not the body is not obeying the brain, and the brain can't communicate with the body exactly, or there's a delay. There's a delay in auditory processing or sensory integration. There are things going on that interrupt communication. And so these people who are trained in this technique to actually give the nervous system something to resist, to break the impulsivity that gets in the way, there are people trained in this. So it's not just give somebody a typewriter or an iPad, a way to type. It's typing with the therapeutic intervention on how do you use this to be able to communicate. And once you're taught, you work to become more independent and do it yourself without the need for a facilitator any longer. But that's certainly an opportunity for investment to break this cycle of suffering of people who are not able to. And so then people, what I was told about Ethan, because he couldn't speak, oh, he's not thinking or feeling anything anyway. Don't worry about it. And if he is, it doesn't matter. Like, that's really? Amazing. You're talking about human beings, the soul, and you dare to say that?
Yeah.
So this is one piece of it. And then to create the intentional communities that are designed to support the nervous systems of people who are dysregulated, who don't calm down, who don't regulate, who are stuck in fight or flight. There are a lot of environmental supports, so that, again, when you let the nervous system calm down, and there are many, many, many ways about this. There are people, the architecture, the light, the sound, the music, color, the food, organic food, no preservatives, just so many things to calm the nervous system.
Yeah.
When the environment is supportive, the behaviors, the distressed behaviors are no longer needed, and things become calmer. And again, this is true of everyone. Everyone there is calmer. So when we can take a step back, take a fresh look at what is needed. This is what I talk about again, when we, instead of react out of anger, and we remember that this person is not giving you a hard time, they're having a hard time, and come from seeking to understand and come from love. Love asks two questions. How can I be of service? And what is needed in this moment? And when you come from those two questions, solutions show up for you. And you suddenly see alternatives and ways of approaching things that you hadn't seen before. And the beauty of coming with that intention is that there are no mistakes. There's only learning. If something doesn't quite work right, okay, next time, or I'll do it differently, or I get support. So this is what becomes possible when we reframe, when we shift our mindset and say, what does this group need? And by the way, this is win-win. All the stakeholders win. People without autism or autistic kids win. Everyone wins when everyone's nervous system is supported, when we're always seeking to understand. You don't need to have autism for a kid to have a bad day. And don't you want kindness to be the response instead of anger? Kick them out, get out of here, you're bad.
Yeah.
Like, really, every human needs that kindness.
Yeah. It's a great perspective. And I love those two questions. How can I be of service, and what is needed in the moment? And Angeline Fry. Angeline, how you doing? Thanks for writing in here. She writes, patience, watching body language, and meeting people where they are at, having genuine interest and intentions to help and follow through, and so much more is so godly important. And I agree.
Oh,
totally.
I love you. Thank you. Yes, thank you.
And Zulema says that she learned the ASL. Is that the communication device?
That's American Sign Language. That's for the deaf.
Okay. Okay. And she said when we got a device for her son, it made the world of difference. Also, intense speech therapy.
Yes.
So it sounds like obviously there's some great resources out there, and one of the resources that people can lean on is your book called "You Just Have to Love Me," which is obviously what Ethan had said to you through his device.
Yes.
Beautiful cover. And
Thank
can you
you.
tell us a little bit about what you've written about the book? I'm sure what we've been talking about is some of the stuff that you talk about in the book. But if you could just share with us what made you want to write the book, and what can people get from the book? And is it only geared towards or focused towards parents with kids with autism?
So it's about my story with Ethan and the seeking to, fix, concrete ways you can do that, concrete practical steps to help them learn at their best and be their best. And the stories are to really reinforce that. And as Ethan said, our job is not to fix, but to accept and honor and love them for who and what they are,
Mm-hmm.
and whatever they are not, as is. And that's the opportunity is to do that. So it's for anybody who has a kid who is different maybe from what you expected. And maybe you had some feelings about that. And of course you did. By the way, stop judging.
Yes.
Please. It's all about, give yourself a break. You're doing the best you could. And self-judgment is the hardest thing. Self-love, the instruction, you just have to love me. By the way, it begins with us. If you want world peace, it begins with inner peace, inner love. Give yourself a break. Be
Mm-hmm.
kind to you. Forgive you for not being perfect. And, people think, especially us parents with special needs kids, they think taking care of ourselves is selfish. And no, it's the kid first. It's the kid first. Well, we all know the analogy of the oxygen mask on the plane. Put your own mask on first
Yeah.
before you help anyone else. Because if you're gasping for air, you're not of any good for you, and you're not of any good to anyone around you.
Yeah.
Take the moment, take the opportunity, put your mask on first. And by the way, we are designed physically as well as spiritually, physically, to take care of ourselves first. The natural design of the body is a message to us about that. The heart, I loved when I learned this. The heart pumps blood to itself first before it pumps blood out to the rest of the body. Now, doesn't that make sense?
Yes. That's incredible. I never even thought about that.
I know. I love that.
Yeah.
Like, you think self-care is selfish? Is your heart being selfish when it does that very smart thing? You want it to be selfish. Because, we special needs parents, and we parents, forget the special needs, we parents are the hub of the wheel.
Mm-hmm.
We keep it going. We're the ones advocating. We're the ones pushing. We're the ones seeking, supporting. See,
Yeah.
and here's the thing. Our goal, this is not to say don't help your kid when, or, well, just love them, You're still nurturing, feeding, guiding, educating, like all of it, all of it. But what is your intention? Is your intention for your child to live their best life, be happy, self-expressed? Great. But be honest. If your goal is, am I a good mother? am I going to change my kid? And if I don't change him, I'm failing.
Mm-hmm.
Be aware of that with love. And if that's what your motivation is, we're not questioning that you love your kid, but just that's not a reason to do this thing. And it may be, and I talk about this in the book, if you come at it from, if you shift the narrative from, am I a good mother, to what does he really need?
Mm-hmm.
What's really in their best interest?
You're going to be a great mom.
That's it. You will be a better mom when you let go of trying to be a good mom. Okay.
Yes. Yeah. Tina Kara, how you doing, Tina? Good to see you. She is saying, or she's asking, if we approach everyone with love and ask those two questions, that's how we can create some more peace in the world. But she's asking, how can other parents access Heidi's friend group?
Oh, thank you for asking.
Yes.
Yes. So I have a group on Facebook, and if you go under Heidi Rome, Take a Breath and Breathe. That is the name of the group, and you can, and I'll let you in. Just ask to join and I'll let you in. And then you'll know. And then I have a monthly gathering called 25 Minutes for Me. It's really 2 times 25 minutes, where I have guest speakers, and then we have engagement and questions and nurturing for the parents and allies of the autism community. And yes, you can go to HeidiRome.com to find out more. And if you know of anyone who wants me to come speak and just spread Ethan's wisdom of love don't fix, like if you take that one thing from today, I would be so happy, because that is directly from Ethan. Our only job with other humans on this planet is to love them, be of service to them, and just accept them for who and what they are, and their gifts and abilities, and forgive the rest. And that's why we're here. Love them, don't fix.
Mm-hmm. Such amazing wisdom, Heidi. Thank you for sharing. And just want to give a shout out to Elizabeth Krause here. How you doing, Elizabeth? Elizabeth has adopted some kids, and she's just mentioning here, moms are particularly vulnerable to guilt and what ifs and if I'd only.
Yes.
And it sounds like the support groups that you have speak to what you were mentioning earlier about just being kind to yourself and just showing some love to yourself first before you're able to then obviously share that love with everyone else. But man, it's I'm sure a lot of the times it can feel lonely, and it can feel just in a place where it's maybe where no one fully understands what you're going through, and people may have positive things to say, but until you've actually are communicating and talking to people who are actually going through the similar thing that you're going through, it makes the world a difference knowing that you've got a support group of people that can truly understand what you're going through. And I think it's great that this Facebook group, again, is called, what is it?
Take a Breath and Breathe. Heidi Rome. Put in Heidi Rome so that it knows it's me. Take a Breath and Breathe. And yeah, it is a hard journey, autism specifically. A lot of friends and family disappear. That is one of the things I talk about in the book, that people who can't handle it, because it really is tough, and they don't know, how to be, who to be.
Mm-hmm.
The thing there is, I felt my own share of anger, but is to eventually move through that and realize that we can't expect from people what they're not capable of giving. So to release that, accept, forgive, move on, because the good news is with that, there are people who will disappear, and at the same time, the angels show up. The people you did not expect to show up, there they are. People who call you, reach out to you. Do you need support? They're there. People who come up to you in the supermarket, that will happen. So there's a lot of spiritual help around this journey too. So you are truly never alone. And remember that. And I'm going to say to that point also, remove the word should out of your vocabulary.
Yes.
Bye. Bye bye. It doesn't serve you. You're doing the best you can. Speak kindly to yourself first. No name calling, no beating yourself up, no woulda, coulda, shoulda, none of that stuff. Stop shitting on
Mhm.
yourself. I'm sure you've heard that. Stop
Yes.
doing that. And that goes a long way to staying strong because that's depleting.
Mhm.
That's a hole in the bucket, the energetic bucket, if you're beating up on yourself
Yeah.
a lot. So we need to stay strong and invigorated and energized and seek out support, not from just anybody, but from
Mhm.
those who can help you and want to help you and have the wherewithal to help you. There's tremendous support out there. Expect it, look for it, and you will find it.
Awesome. So anyone out there who would like Heidi to come and speak to your organization or to your group or whatever, you
Yeah.
can go to HeidiRome.com and connect with her there. And obviously on Facebook. Um, Question, Heidi, for parents who, husbands and wives, or husbands or wives and wives who are raising autistic children,
Yes.
having gone through it yourself, I'm sure that can have some strain on the relationship and
Yes.
how the two of you interact and how this changes your life. Can you share maybe some insight or advice or wisdom about parents who are, going through this, where obviously there's additional things that parents have to contend with
Yes.
kids with special needs. How did it affect your relationship with your husband, and what advice would you give for parents who are going through this?
It's a great question. And it does, I think some statistics show that the divorce rate among couples who have autistic kids, especially severely autistic kids, is somewhat like 80+%. I mean, it's a crazy high
Yeah,
number.
I would imagine.
It's because it's so stressful. And when people are very afraid and stressed out, they're not at their best.
Yeah,
And you're not looking to engage lovingly when you're in survival.
yeah,
And so the same guidance about love and accept and not fix actually applies very specifically also in the couple's relationship. And the same thing, your other wise guest there, meet people where they are. Again, that's not just for special needs kids, that's for all humanity. Meet people where they are. Where are you? What are you capable of in this moment? What is needed in this moment? How can I be of service to this relationship right now? In kindness, not coming from shoulda, woulda, coulda, but what what's in your heart right now? What do you need right now? How can I just listen right now? How can I support you, nurture you right now? We don't have to do anything. What are the feelings? What are the needs? Can I just be with you right now? And just be there for each other with compassion. You each know firsthand how hard this is,
yeah,
and other things, money. This is very expensive to be fixing. Let me tell you, I dragged that kid, every doctor, every therapist, every conference that I could imagine, stuff that was crazy expensive. And it was, and you couldn't talk me out of any of it. It was like, mortgage the house,
wow,
anything. We have to fix him now. The window of neuroplasticity is closing. Oh my God. I mean, it was a crazy hamster wheel to be on.
hmm
And actually, quick story on that. I had gone into type with Ethan, and the teacher said, "So, what does Ethan do after school every day?" So we'll type about that, some boring stuff. And I said, "Well, every minute that he is not in school, or that he is not home sleeping, we are doing an autism therapy. So we had physical therapy twice a week, occupational therapy twice a week, speech therapy twice a week, yoga for the special child twice a week. We were doing homeopathy, Chinese medicine, herbs, laser therapy, green lasers to calm the nervous system, red lasers to stimulate the nervous system. He was getting methyl B12 injections. We were looking into HBOT, which are hyperbaric chambers. I was looking into stem cell therapy in Panama, and maybe even swim with the dolphins in Ukraine at the time. Oh my God, name the therapy. We thought about it, almost did a lot of them, and it was nuts. So I'm telling the teacher all this, right? She thought she's going to get a simple answer. Heidi, no, here. So I'm going on my litany, right? And meantime, and I remember my thoughts. I was going through this list, and I'm thinking to myself, I'm such a good mother. I'm a good mother. I'm doing everything I can. I'm doing everything I can. It's okay. It's all right. You're okay. It's all right. Like, and I'm telling her all this. And Ethan reaches over to the letterboard. Well, the teacher and I laughed because Ethan was never in a hurry to get to work. But here I am in the middle of all the stuff we were doing, and he wants to type something. Oh, okay. What do you want to type, Ethan? In the middle of my list. And he types, I'm tired.
Wow.
And I go, what?
Wow.
And I felt like the air leave me, and I start arguing. Okay, I'm going to admit I argued with my autistic kid. Well, Ethan, this is good for you. This is to help you. It's to help you feel better. And then I'm remembering when I would take him to physical therapy, and he would be crawling the obstacle course or playing basketball or all the things you do in physical therapy. And sometimes he would lie down on the court and close his eyes. And of course, the reaction was, up, work avoidance. Up, Ethan, come on, back to the game.
No, he needed a break. He was like, he's
exhausted. The kid was falling asleep on the basketball court.
Wow.
I was like, oh my God. And that was like, what am I doing? Who is this for? Is it for me or is it for him?
Yeah.
Yeah. So again, it was like, whoa, eye opener.
Yeah. Well, Heidi, you've shared so much incredible wisdom, some great quotes, and I would highly recommend anyone and everyone out there to pick up Heidi's book.
Thank you.
Which is You Just Have to Love Me, which is Ethan's amazing
story,
insight and wisdom and his story. So you can pick that up on Amazon.com, wherever books are sold. And Heidi, I just really appreciate your time and your contribution to just sharing everything that you have tonight. I know a lot of people have gotten a lot out of this, including myself. I think you've made a lot of people feel seen and heard and supported tonight. So I really appreciate that.
Thank you so much. And just from the comments that your guests gave in the comments, they were such excellent questions and points that, wow, I really appreciate them, and they're expanding this conversation. I thank you so much to you and to them.
Yeah, well, I again appreciate you and would love to hear some final insight about shifting topics here to some of your favorite movies and actors, because this is the part of the show where I like to ask my guests what their favorite films are, favorite actors. So are you ready?
I'm ready.
All right.
I'm going to date myself, but I'm ready.
This is great. This is great. I always love to hear some new movies that maybe I haven't seen yet. So,
you've seen these.
What is your favorite movie of all time?
Star Wars.
Yes, amazing.
Me too. Oh, good. Okay. Yeah,
So the
because
very first
you're the
one,
expert, but I love Star Wars.
yeah, what'd you love about it?
Oh, it's just it's the hero's journey.
Yeah.
It's just, you know, I think about Star Wars and Luke all the time because I'm like, I want I have a vision too. And I'm scared. And am I enough
Mhm.
to save the planet? And I watch that movie and it reassures me that it's not about me. It's about the vision and the mission. And it lets me breathe into that and get into my fighter.
Yeah, and I love what I love about Star Wars as well is that there's so many just different cast of characters in the
Yes.
landscape of Star Wars, and yet they all come together for the common mission of defending themselves against the Imperial Empire.
I know.
And it's just amazing that like when the student is ready, the teacher appears, like with Yoda,
Oh,
and yeah, it's such a great story.
and it's all about love and people who love each other
Yeah,
and relationship and
yeah, yeah,
critical that is and how we need to accept each other for who we are and stop resisting
yeah,
what is.
yeah, exactly. Second question: what was your favorite movie growing up when you were a kid?
So I was torn between Mary Poppins
Mm,
and The Wizard of Oz. So I
beautiful.
was torn. That's high.
What would you say you liked most about Mary Poppins?
I just loved her coming out of nowhere. And this being a resource to those kids. Like like the fairy godmother.
Yeah,
You know, the idea of a fairy godmother, a wise, loving, firm fairy godmother who didn't let you go too far. Like, hey,
you brought some magic and some
magic.
love, some kindness, but firmness. Yeah,
Yes,
yeah.
exactly. Exactly.
And I'm sure we all know why we love The Wizard of Oz. So,
Oh, that goes without.
did you have a favorite character other than Dorothy of the Tin Man, the Lion, the Scarecrow?
Yeah. I I related to the lion
Yeah,
because I felt afraid a lot in life. And I loved the reminder, you're really brave. Just remember that. You got
I love
this.
that. That's great. Yeah,
Yeah, you got it.
that's really great. And next question: what was your or what is your favorite romantic comedy?
So again, I'm dating myself. When Harry Met Sally.
Great movie.
Isn't
Great
it
movie. Yeah.
great?
You're
Yeah,
not dating yourself. That's a classic.
it is a
Yeah.
classic. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I can imagine I'm Meg Ryan. I can,
Yeah,
you know.
exactly. And I love how just they're so opposite in most every single way, but they
Right.
complement each other, and you can just tell how like as we talked about earlier, they meet each other in the middle, and they meet each other where they are at, and they accept each other for who they are, even though they are complete opposites in, like I said, most every way.
Well, what I love noticing is people who are complete opposites, except in the things that matter. So
Ah,
if their values are the same,
mm,
they can be completely opposite.
very true. Yes.
That's the key.
What would you say their values were the same regarding?
Um, I'm going to sound like a broken record, but acceptance and love,
Mhm.
that that's what's in friendship is
Mhm.
important. And you accept your friends as quirky and different, right? They had the quirky friends, like
Yep.
doing all kinds of things as like, whatever. I love you anyway.
Yeah.
You're out of your mind.
Yeah. Like rolling your eyes. Oh God, here she goes
There they
again.
go. Well, and that to me, there she goes again with that loving, like, okay.
I'll take a tuna fish sandwich, but I only want it just lightly toasted and the mustard on the side with the celery stick, but only like a thin celery, not the thick celery. Like, yes. Yeah.
Who isn't like that in some way?
Yeah, of course. We all have our little idiosyncrasies.
Exactly.
What's your favorite comedy of all time?
What did I write for that? Comedy. Well, I think it's romantic comedy or romance. That was the when
Okay.
Sally.
And then the other question was straight comedy. So if you could think of your favorite comedy of all time, or the other question was your favorite movie that you are embarrassed to say you love.
Yeah, that. Okay. Any Disney movie. I love Disney movies, but when you say you love a Disney movie, you know, people make fun of you.
Really?
Oh yeah, like Bambi or Dumbo.
Oh, that's ridiculous. Who would make fun of you for liking Bambi or Dumbo?
I know. Well, they're not nice. They're not accepting. But Pinocchio was my first movie. That was my very first movie.
Yeah.
And now Inside Out, and now a new one's coming out, which I really love because that's all about the emotions and accepting all the emotions.
Yep.
And to me, that is about, there's that wonderful poem by Rumi about your emotion, that your heart being a guest house. And all the emotions are going to knock at your door. Let them in. Let each in, even anger, who's going to come into your house and make a big mess. Let anger in. Let grief in. Let them all in, because they all have a message for you. Wow. And they will all enrich your life. Let them all in. And that, to me, is the message of Inside Out.
Yeah. And it's funny because Rumi is one of my favorite poets and philosophers. And I never heard that one. That's amazing.
Oh, yeah.
Love that one.
Yeah.
Who's your favorite actor or male character in a movie?
Okay. I was not a fair question because I was madly in love with William Shatner as Captain Kirk.
Oh, wow. All right.
Oh, yeah. Because I'm a Trekkie. The original series, Trekkie, the real thing. The rest are okay. But that's the real thing. And I was madly in love with Captain Kirk.
Okay. Stud.
Yeah.
Love it.
Yeah. Yeah.
And favorite actress or female character?
So you're not expecting this, but I don't know what you're expecting. But I'm not
expecting anything.
You're not expecting. See? Good strategy. Ingrid Bergman. Because she always played these super brave roles. Like she would be the one, taking the risk or marry the Nazi. Like what? Like, seriously, girl? What are you doing? Out of your gourd? But she would do it and be absolutely gorgeous while doing it. But yeah, and she just really always struck me. And in all her movies, she's like that.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Awesome. Do you have a favorite movie of hers that we can check out or go to first?
Well, Casablanca.
Casablanca.
Right? And the one Married the Nazi, I forget the name of that one. Also a classic, but not remembering. But yeah, that's a good one too. Like, watch that one.
Awesome.
Go binge Ingrid Bergman.
All right. Will do. Heidi, thank you so much for being here. You're awesome. You're incredible. We all love you. Thank you so much for
I love you, Colin. Thank you.
You're putting so much amazing support and love and generosity into the world. And again, would highly encourage you guys to all reach out, connect with Heidi, have her come speak at your organization or your work or group or whatever. Check her out at HeidiRome.com, and be sure to get her book, You Just Have to Love Me, which is all about her son, Ethan, and his incredible, insightful wisdom that I can't wait to read. And you're just awesome, Heidi. Thank you so much. Appreciate you.
Oh, thank you, Colin. Such a pleasure to be here with you. Thank you for the honor and the pleasure.
Awesome. And just one last thing, I like to ask my guests before they leave, what is the thing that inspires you most?
Watching Ethan do this hard work, because communicating is super hard for him. He sweats. He has to take a nap after he communicates, and yet he doesn't give up. And that inspires me.
That's beautiful. And just clarification, he physically sweats?
Yeah.
Well, so do I. I mean, it happens to the best of us. So
it
means that we're working.
I love that. Thank you. Thank you for normalizing that for me.
Oh my God, yes, absolutely.
Aww.
Yeah, it means you're working. So,
yeah.
All right, Heidi, thank you so much. Much love to you. Take care of yourself, and I'll speak to you soon.
Speak to you soon. Thank you.
All right, take care.
Bye.
All right, everyone. Such a great conversation. Thank you for being here. Man, we're going to have to definitely rewatch this episode, and so many just nuggets of gold here. I really loved the two questions that she suggests that we ask. How can we be of service, and what is needed in the moment? I think the whole theme of this whole conversation was just meeting people where they are at, whether that's your kids, whether that's your spouse, your mom, your dad, and just checking in and letting them know that you're there for them, letting them know that you are there for them where they are at. And once you create that safe space for people to be seen and heard for authentically who they are, we see what comes out of it. And even, just some of the biggest and best surprises in our life can come out of just creating that safe space where we can feel seen and heard. And that's exactly what I love to do with everything that I'm doing here on Coffee with Colin, with my courses, at my retreats, and just to reiterate, Heidi and I met each other through the Speakers Playhouse, and she went through my Beyond Impact Mastery class, which is all about supporting people in sharing their message with the world. So if you are desiring and needing some support with whatever it is that you are doing and need to be seen and met where you are at to help you create abundance in your life, we'd love to be able to do that for you. And you can go to beyondimpactmastery.com for more information about my Beyond Impact communications class, or you can shoot me an email at info@colinegglesfield.com. I do personal coaching, and I love to help support people in leveling up in life. I'm working with a few different clients right now and helping them book stages and become better communicators and just clarify your message to share it with the world. So whatever it is that you're dealing with, would love to support you and help you with whatever it is that you're dealing with. And if you're needing anything with regards to further support with what Heidi talked about, feel free to reach out to her as well. In the meantime, take care of yourself. Wish you guys all the best, and can't wait to see you next week on the next episode of Coffee with Colin. Take care.